Banks suddenly closed down 64 branches in the United States. Hey, everybody, my name is JJ. You're watching Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust. So let's get into this here. Let's go ahead and share the screen here and see what's going on here. And if we look through the search results here, we see a lot of headlines on this here. 64 bank branches closing in a single week. So what's going on? Is this unusual? Well, this is a lot, but it's not unusual because banks have been closing down branches for a long time. In fact, closing down a lot more than they're opening up. Now, people have often feared that we're headed in the direction of a cashless society. And we're already there, in my opinion. I mean, of course, some people still use cash, but when you look at the amount of just what you call money, what they call money in circulation, which is mostly digits on a screen. Basically, over 90% of all cash, quote unquote cash out there that we use to buy and sell, swiping plastic, paying on your phone, it's mostly digital. 90+% is digital. So already less than 10% of the transactions are conducted in actual cash where people dig in their wallet or reach in their pocket and get out paper bills or coins, less than 10%. So you could argue, you can make the argument easily that we're already in a cashless society. Of course, here's the next step here is the banks closing, because who needs banks when everyone's conducting transactions on their phone, on a digital screen, online? That's the logical next step. So this shouldn't be too shocking, but the magnitude of these closures is pretty alarming when you look at it. 64 in 1 week here. And this was widely reported. I'm going to just read some text here out of the TET. Big banks such as PNC, JP Morgan Chase have filed to close several offices in multiple states amid a troubling pattern of rising branch shutdown in recent years. Well, a lot of people are pulling their money out of the bank. We also have to factor that into the equation here. Between November 12th and November 18th, several banks filed to close down branches, with PNC Bank with the most filings, according to data from the U.S. Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. Pittsburgh-based PNC Bank filed for 19 branch closures, 5 in Pennsylvania, 4 in Illinois, 3 in Texas, 2 each in Alabama and New Jersey, 1 in Indiana, Ohio, and Florida. Chase followed closely with 18 filings. Actually, I won't read all the states and all these. Citizens Bank came in third with 8 branches closing. Bank of America, 5 filings to close banks. Citibank, 2 branch closures. Altogether, banks filed to shut down 64 branches. Folks, this is just in 1 week. And this can be troubling for some people. If you have one bank in your town, you're from small town, USA. I happen to be from a small town in Michigan. I believe the population, when I moved out of there, it's been 20 years. Population was about 3,000. That's a small town. And if I remember correctly, we had one bank. And if you didn't go to that bank, or if that bank wasn't there, you would have had to drive to the next city. And back there, it was like 10 miles to the next city, maybe 12 miles. I can't remember exactly. And a lot of times it was snowing. And with the ice on the roads, myself and many others wouldn't want to even drive 10 miles. So this could be problematic for people that need a branch close to them. You also have elderly people, disabled people that don't want to drive that far. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Dark clouds are gathering as markets shudder. Stocks are sinking, currencies stumbling. Fear and uncertainty reign. The Middle East, Ukraine, Taiwan, the debt, it's endless. Yet one asset stands firm: gold. In crisis after crisis, gold is there in the background. Its enduring value guards against loss like a missile shield against incoming. While paper wealth burns, gold persists. Shield your savings against looming threats: war, recession, contagion, and avoid the frenzied panic of the unprepared. Take control in the chaos. Fortune favors decisive action. Get hold of gold now before it's out of reach. Right now, Noble Gold Investments offers a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin with every new IRA. Claim your free coin today to secure your financial future. As this new storm gathers, panic looms, and some of the places you were thinking for your money, well, they don't look so clever anymore. Secure your future against disaster. Open a Noble Gold Investments IRA and claim your free bullion coin today. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com now. Noblegoldinvestments.com, the only company I trust. Link down in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. And also people that don't have cars, they don't want to drive that far. People that have to take Ubers and things like that, or taxis just to go to the bank branch. Yeah, I mean, you get my point. So it can be very problematic for some people here. The recent closures are a part of a long-term branch shutdown trend that's been ongoing for the past several years. Yeah, especially in 2020 with the surge in people using online banking. And it's pretty amazing still to think about, as long as online banking has been available, how there's been this big surge just in the past few years because of of course, the health crisis. People were afraid to go out a lot of times, so they learned very quickly how to do things at home on their computers. There was a big surge in demand for computers. Remember, computer prices went up, even used computers and computer um, accessories like webcams. The price skyrocketed in 2020, 2021. Even used ones on eBay, it was crazy prices. That's actually settled down now. We've seen prices come down, but yes, people did surge to online banking and just online in general, especially after the health crisis. According to the S&P, there were over 3,000 bank closures last year and only 958 new bank branches opening. So you definitely see the trend here, folks. The trend is less and less bank branches. So is this some master plan to guide us towards a cashless society? Well, people have been saying that, but again, we're already there. It's over 90% cashless already. It's digital. And if you just look at all the money out there, it's again less than 10% is actual physical cash. That's why I think at some point we've got to go back to some sound money, hard assets, gold and silver, I think especially. Now that's a long-term play. People often ask me about silver. Why isn't silver going up? Well, it is going up. I mean, if you look at, well, just 3 years ago it was $14. Now we're, what, $23, $24. So it's pretty nice gain. It's about a 40% gain in 3 years. That's not bad. It's kind of a quiet mover. It's not something you see spike up overnight. We did have that spike a couple years ago where it spiked up to like $30 and then dropped back down. For something to spike up that quickly and drop down that quickly, you know it's manipulated. Do you think the price went up that much and dropped down that much because of physical transactions? Right? No, this was digitally manipulated using derivatives on the paper market, basically. There's no way that the price of anything would move that fast if it was conducted in real physical form, like people buying and selling coins at the coin dealer. There's no way. So it has to be manipulated, and I've demonstrated here probably 100 times or more, and showed you all the manipulation, the lawsuits that were filed, the penalties that were paid by certain banks. Talked about that here many times. One major factor that led to a surge in bank closures was the rise in digital banking. Digital banking tools have made it more convenient and more secure than ever for consumers to manage their finances. Also, these banks are cutting costs, and that's another part of it. They're cutting costs. We see a lot of layoffs out of banks, right? So we're told on one hand that the bank profits are so great that everything's fine. Why are they laying off people? Why are they closing branches so rapidly? If this is just part of cost cutting, and again, if the banks were so resilient and sound like we're being told, why the urgency to cut so much staff and to close so many branches? And also, we have to talk about the high cost of living and the demand for higher wages. When you have people out there needing to make $25, $30 an hour just to get by, just to scrape by in most cases. In California, $25 an hour is barely scraping by. $30, still barely scraping by, just the cost of living out here. So when you have that type of cost of living and the demand for higher wages, the incentive is going to be for businesses to close down branches and to have more people go online. And look at the previous report we did about the shopping, the online shopping and the Black Friday. The biggest deals were online because a lot of the retailers didn't want to have staff in their brick and mortar locations because the high wages that they have to pay now to keep staff there. So why offer sales in the store when you could just have people go online and you don't have to pay all this extra staff to man the stores, to quote unquote man the stores? just do it online, right? So this is another issue with the high cost of living. You're going to have more incentive for physical locations to close down or have less staff. PNC Bank recognizes there's definitely a headwind to the growth and that their net interest income, mainly due to the higher deposit rates and higher funding cost. And so they're trying to alleviate some of that headwind by doing what they can do to cut their own non-interest expenses as a way to maintain their earnings. At the end of the day, the banks, publicly traded banks, are going to have to answer to their shareholders. So publicly traded banks, of course, the mega banks. That's why I choose to do most of my banking at a credit union. I try not to have everything in one bank, so I do have one of the big six mega banks is one bank that I use, but most of my money is in a credit union. I'm not saying that's safer. Credit unions do a lot of the same things that the big banks do, but they're not publicly traded, so they don't have that profit incentive. Typically, I see they offer a little bit better rates as well, and I like the customer service better. Um, just a few things, but yeah, anything could happen. I mean, credit unions also are loaning out money they don't have, not to the magnitude as the too big to fail banks, because I don't think the small banks and the credit unions are that confident to do that, because they're not promised a life raft if something bad happens there. Like some banks, of course, are promised endless life support, life raft, endless bailouts. All right, so what do we think about the 64 bank closures in 1 week? To me, it seems pretty extreme. Please let me know what you think down in comments. Until next time, I'm going to wrap this one up here. Keep stacking Bulls and Bears. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.